On May 14, 1948, Ben-Gurion declared the establishment of the new state of Israel and became its first prime minister and minister of defense. He knew what to expect next. Years earlier, Ben-Gurion had ordered the formation of a deep network of sources in the Arab countries. Now, 3 days before the establishment of Israel, Reuven Shiloah, director of the political department of the Jewish Agency, the agency's intelligence division, had informed him that the Arab states have decided finally to launch a simultaneous attack on May 15th. They are relying on the lack of heavy armaments and a Hebrew air force. Shiloah provided many details about the attack plan. The information was accurate. At midnight, after the state was declared, 7 armies attacked. They far outnumbered and were infinitely better equipped than the Jewish forces, and they achieved significant gains early on, conquering settlements and inflicting casualties. The Secretary General of the Arab League, Ronen, I need to get this fucking name right, Abdul Rahman Azam Pasha, declared, "This will be a war of great destruction and slaughter that will be remembered like the massacres carried out by the Mongols and the Crusaders." But the Jews, now officially Israelis, rapidly regrouped and even went on the offensive. After a month, a truce was mediated by the United Nations Special Envoy, Count Folke Bernadotte. Both sides were exhausted and in need of rest and resupply. When fighting resumed, the tables were turned, and with excellent intelligence and battle management, along with help of many Holocaust survivors who had only just arrived from Europe, the Israelis drove the Arab forces back and eventually conquered far more territory than had been allocated to the Jewish state in the UN partition plan. Though Israel had repelled superior armies, Ben-Gurion was not sanguine about the embryonic Israel Defense Forces' short-term victory. The Arabs might have lost the first battles, but they, both those who lived in Palestine and those in the Arab states surrounding Israel, refused to accept the legitimacy of the new nation. They vowed to destroy Israel and return the refugees to their homes. Ben-Gurion knew the IDF couldn't hope to defend Israel's long, convoluted borders through sheer manpower alone. From the remnants of the Haganah's shy intelligence operations, he had to begin building a proper espionage system fit for a legitimate state. On June 7th, Ben-Gurion summoned his top aides, headed by Shiloah, to his office in the former Templar colony in Tel Aviv. "Intelligence is one of the military and political tools that we urgently need for this war," Shiloah wrote in a memo to Ben-Gurion. "It will have to become a permanent tool, including in our peacetime political apparatus." Ben-Gurion did not need to be persuaded. After all, a large part of the surprising, against all odds establishment of the state and its defense was owed to the effective use of accurate intelligence. That day, he ordered the establishment of 3 agencies. The first was the Intelligence Department of the Israeli Defense Forces General Staff, later commonly referred to by its Hebrew acronym, Aman, A-M-A-N. Second was the Shin Bet, acronym for the General Security Service, responsible for internal security and created as a sort of hybrid between the American FBI and British MI5. The organization later changed its name to the Israeli Security Agency, but most Israelis still refer to it by its acronym, Shabak, or more commonly in this book as Shin Bet. And a third, the political department, now belonging to the new foreign ministry instead of the Jewish agency, would engage in foreign espionage and intelligence collection. Abandoned Templar homes in the Sarona neighborhood near the defense ministry were assigned to each outfit, putting Ben-Gurion's office at the center of an ostensibly organized force of security forces. Sure. But nothing in those first months and years was so tidy. Remnants of Haganah agencies were absorbed into various security services or spy rings, then shuffled and reabsorbed into another. Add that to the myriad turf battles and clashing egos that were essentially revolutionaries, and much was chaos in the espionage underground. "They were hard years," said Isser Harel, one of the founding fathers of Israel intelligence. "We had to establish a country and defend it, but the structure of the services and the division of labor was determined without any systematic judgment, without discussions with all the relevant people, in almost dilettantish and In an almost dilettantish, dilettante, dilettantitish. The fuck does that mean? And conspiratorial way. I've never experienced that word before. Under normal conditions, administrators would establish clear boundaries and procedures, and field agents would patiently cultivate sources of information over a period of years. But Israel did not have this luxury. Its intelligence operations had to be built on the fly and under siege, while the young country was fighting for its very existence. The first challenge the Ben-Gurion spies faced was an internal one. There were Jews who blatantly defied his authority, among them the remnants of the right-wing underground movements. An extreme example of this defiance was the Altalena affair, in June 1948. Altalena. A ship by that name, dispatched from Europe by the Irgun, was due to arrive carrying immigrants and arms, but the organization refused to hand all the weapons over to the army of the new state, insisting that some of them be given to still intact units of its own. Ben-Gurion, who had been informed of the plans by agents inside Irgun, ordered that the ship be taken over by force. In the ensuing fight, it was sunk, and 16 Irgun fighters and 3 IDF soldiers were killed. Shortly afterwards, security forces rounded up 200 Irgun members all over the country, effectively ending its existence. Yitzhak Shamir and the Lehi operatives under his command also refused to accept the more moderate Ben-Gurion's authority. Over the summer, during the truce, UN envoy Bernadotte crafted a tentative peace plan that would have ended the fighting. But the plan was unacceptable to Lehi and Shamir, who accused Bernadotte of collaborating with Nazis during World War II and of drafting a proposal that would redraw Israeli borders in such a way, including giving most of the Negev and Jerusalem to the Arabs and putting the Haifa port at Lydia Airport under international control, as well as obliging the Jewish state to take back 300,000 Arab refugees, that the country would not survive. Fuck that paragraph. Leahy issued several public warnings in the form of notices posted in the streets of cities. Advice to the agent Bernadette: clear out of our country. The underground radio was even more outspoken, declaring, "The Count will end up like the Lord," a reference to the assassinated Lord Moyne. Bernadotte ignored the warnings and even ordered UN observers not to carry arms, saying, "The United Nations flag protects us." Convinced that the envoy's plan would be accepted, Shamir ordered his assassination. On September 17th, 4 months after the statehood was declared, and a day after Bernadotte submitted his plan to the UN Security Council, he was traveling with his entourage in a convoy of 3 white DeSoto sedans from UN headquarters to the Rehavia neighborhood of Jewish Jerusalem when a jeep blocked their way. 3 young men wearing peaked caps jumped out. 2 of them shot the tires of the UN vehicles, and the third, Yehoshua Cohen, opened the door of the car Bernadotte was traveling in and opened fire with his Schmeiser MP-40 submachine gun. The first burst hit the man sitting next to Bernadotte, a French colonel by the name of André Serrault. André. French is weird. Serrault. Stupid R's. But the next, more accurate, hit the Count in the chest. Both men were killed. The whole attack was over in seconds, like thunder and lightning, the time it takes to fire 50 rounds, end quote, is the way Israeli liaison officer Captain Moshe Hillman, who was in the car with the victims, described it. The perpetrators were never caught. The assassination infuriated and profoundly embarrassed the Jewish leadership. The Security Council condemned it as a cowardly act which appears to have been committed by a criminal group of terrorists in Jerusalem, and the New York Times wrote the following day, "No Arab armies could have done so much harm to the Jewish state in so short a time." Ben-Gurion saw Leahy's rogue operation as a serious challenge to his authority, one that could lead to a coup or even a civil war. He reacted immediately, outlawing both Irgun and Leahy. he ordered Shin Bet chief Isser Harel to round up Lehi members. Topping the wanted list was Yitzhak Shamir. He wasn't captured, but many others were, and they were locked up under heavy guard. Lehi ceased to exist as an organization. Ben-Gurion is grateful to Harel for his vigorous action against the underground and made him the #1 intelligence official of the country. A short, solid, and driven man, Isser Harel was influenced by the Russian Bolshevik revolutionary movement and its use of sabotage, guerrilla warfare, and assassination, but he abhorred communism. Under his direction, the Shin Bet kept constant surveillance and conducted political espionage against Ben-Gurion's political opponents, the left-wing socialist and communist parties, and the right-wing Herut party formed by veterans of Ergin and Lehi. Meanwhile, Ben-Gurion and his foreign minister, Moshe Sharet, were at loggerheads over what policy should be adopted toward the Arabs. Sharet was the most prominent of Israel's elderly leaders who believed diplomacy was the best way to achieve regional peace and thus secure the country. Even before independence, he made secret overtures to Jordan's King Abdullah and Lebanon's Prime Minister Riyad al-Soleh, who would be instrumental in forming the coalition of invading Arabs, who already had been largely responsible for the Palestinian militias that exacted heavy losses of the pre-state Yishuv. Despite al-Soleh's virulently anti-Jewish rhetoric and anti-Israel actions, he secretly met with Eliyahu Sassoon, one of the Sharet's deputies, several times in Paris in late 1948 to discuss a peace agreement. "If we want to establish contacts with the Arabs to end the war," said Sassoon when Sharet, enthusiastic about his secret contacts, took him to the report to the cabinet, "we have to be in contact with those people who are now in power, with those who have declared war on us, and who are having trouble continuing." Those diplomatic overtures obviously were not effective, and Ben-Gurion on December 12, 1948, ordered military intelligence agents to assassinate al-Soleh. Sharet was vehemently opposed to the idea, recalled Asher Arthur. What the fuck? Come on, guys. That information's not even fucking necessary. Asher, and then in parentheses, Arthur Ben Nathan, a leading figure in the Foreign Ministry's political department and the arm responsible for covert activities abroad. And when our department was asked to help military intelligence execute the order through our contacts in Beirut, he countermanded the order, effectively killing it. I'm gonna do that whole paragraph again, and then I'm gonna stop it right here. Fucking stupid paragraph, fucking stupid way around. Sharet was vehemently opposed to the idea, recalled Asher Arthur Ben Nathan, a leading figure in the Foreign Ministry's political department and the arm responsible for covert activities abroad. And when our department was asked to help military intelligence execute the order through our contacts in Beirut, he countermanded the order, effectively killing it.